It's funny how a single moment can shatter everything you thought you knew about your life. I remember sitting on that cramped hotel bed in some crappy little town, trying to enjoy what was supposed to be our anniversary trip. We'd been planning this trip for months, just us, a little getaway to celebrate 5 years. I could smell the stale scent of the hotel room, feel the rough fabric of the blanket under my fingertips, and hear the distant hum of traffic outside. It was supposed to be perfect. Well, until it was. We had checked in late last night, exhausted after the long drive. My wife Lisa had been her usual cheerful self, smiling, joking, tossing her hair like she always did when she was nervous. I'd caught her looking at her phone a few times, sneaking glances at the screen and clamping her lips tight. I figured she was just texting her sister or some friend. Little did I know, that was the first red flag I'd ignored. This morning, we decided to go for a walk along the river. It was chilly, the air sharp enough to make me pull my jacket tighter around my neck. Lisa was quiet more than usual. When we stopped by a small bridge, I noticed her phone buzzing again. She quickly tucked it into her pocket, her face a little too casual. I asked her what was up and she brushed me off with a laugh, saying it was just a notification from Instagram. That's when I saw the flicker of guilt in her eyes. I wanted to believe her, but something felt off. That little prick of doubt gnawed at me. Later that day, I decided to check her phone when she went to the bathroom. I know, trust is everything, but I was getting anxious and I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. I unlocked her phone with a little hesitation, my palms slick with sweat. My heart was pounding so loudly I thought she could hear it. The screen flickered to life and I saw it, messages from someone named Bobby. The conversation wasn't just friendly banter, it was flirtatious, intimate. They discussed meeting up, sharing plans for tonight, saying things I can't repeat here without sounding like a lunatic. My stomach clenched like I'd been punched. I scrolled faster, searching for more clues. There were pictures too, some of her with him in a hotel room, kissing, holding hands. The worst part, they had already made plans. They were going to run away together. I found a message where she explicitly told him they'd leave tomorrow morning, that she was done with everything, including me. It was like getting hit with a sledgehammer. The shock, the disbelief, it all hit me at once. I couldn't breathe properly. My vision blurred and I had to lean against the wall to keep from falling. All these years, all those moments I thought we shared, gone, erased in a single swipe of her finger. I stared at the phone, feeling my fists curl up tight, trembling with rage. How could she? After everything, after promising she loved me, she was planning to leave me with nothing. Just like that. For her, I was just an afterthought, a convenient partner who'd been replaced overnight. When she finally came out of the bathroom, I was still there, frozen, clutching her phone like a weapon. She looked surprised, then nervous. "What are you doing?" she asked, voice shaky. I didn't say anything at first. I just held up her phone, showing her the messages. Her face went pale. "That's not what it looks like," she muttered, but her voice was barely above a whisper. "Looks like you're about to run away with your friend," I snapped, voice trembling with a mixture of shock and fury. "Did you really think I wouldn't find out, that I wouldn't see this? You're planning to leave me here, broke and humiliated." Her eyes darted around, looking for an escape. "It's not what you think." "Oh, I think I know exactly what it is," I interrupted. "You cheated on me, Lisa, with Bobby, during our anniversary trip. You've been lying to my face from the start." Her lip quivered and I saw the fake smile she tried to put on crack. That's when I realized the depth of her betrayal. I'd been blind, so damn blind, thinking everything was fine. But I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. I needed to do something. Not just to confront her, but to make her realize she couldn't just get away with this. I didn't come up with the plan overnight. It took hours of thinking, of replaying everything in my mind. The betrayal, the lies. The way she looked at him in those messages, like I was nothing. I needed her to feel as powerless as I did. I decided to let her plan her escape, to give her enough rope to hang herself, but with a twist she wouldn't see coming. That's where I stand now, still holding her phone, her face turning pale and my mind racing with the steps I'll take next. I can't let her get away with this, not after everything. But I also need to be smart about it. Because this isn't just about revenge. It's about making her see the consequences of her betrayal. And trust me, I am going to make sure she regrets every second she thought she could cheat and run. The shock of discovering her betrayal settled into a cold, simmering rage that I couldn't shake off. I stood there, clutching her phone like a weapon, trying to process what I'd just seen. Her planning to leave, her lying, her sneaking around behind my back. It felt like my chest was tightening, like my ribs were trying to squeeze the words out that I couldn't say yet. My mind raced, trying to come up with a plan, a way to turn this around on her, to make her feel the hurt she caused me. I remember how the room felt suddenly smaller, the air thick and almost suffocating. Every sound was amplified, the distant traffic, the hum of the heater, her trembling voice. She was staring at me, eyes wide with a mix of guilt and fear. I could see it in her eyes, the moment she realized I'd seen everything. That's when I knew I had her right where I wanted her, even if she didn't realize it yet. "I'm not stupid," I finally said, voice low and steady, trying to sound calm but deadly serious. "You think you can just do this and I'd never find out? You're planning to leave me behind just like that after 5 years?" She hesitated. "It's not like that, I swear." "Save it," I cut her off. "I've seen enough. You're leaving with Bobby, huh? Planning to start over with him?" My fists clenched so tightly that my knuckles turned white. "Well, I've got news for you. I'm not letting you do that. Not without a fight." Her face crumpled then, tears threatening to spill. "Over, please, you don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," I snapped. "You've been cheating on me, lying, and now you want to run away? Not a chance. You think I'm just going to roll over and let this happen? I've got plans, Lisa. Big plans. You're going to wish you never crossed me." I needed her to see that I wasn't just hurt, I was furious. I couldn't let her think she could get away with this so easily. But I also knew I had to play it smart. She thought I was losing control, she'd just run faster. That's when an idea clicked, something that would make her realize she was trapped. This wasn't just about rage, it was about control, about turning her own betrayal against her. "You're leaving tomorrow," I said, voice cold. "But not before I make sure you get a little taste of what's coming. You want to run away with Bobby, fine. But I'm going to make sure you do it with your reputation in ruins. And oh, I've got some surprises for him too." She looked panicked now, her hands trembling. "What are you talking about?" "Stay with me," I said, voice dropping to a whisper, "and you'll see. You're about to find out what happens when someone betrays me. You think I'm just going to let you walk out that door? No way. I've got a plan, Lisa, a good one, and you're going to wish you never crossed me." She stared at me, tears streaming down her face, pleading. "Please don't do this. I made a mistake. I love you. You lied about everything," I said, voice harsh. "And now I'm going to give you what you deserve. Just wait. You'll regret this. Trust me." I knew I had to act fast. If I was going to turn her betrayal into my revenge, I had to get everything lined up. I started thinking about the evidence I'd uncovered, the messages, the photos, and how I was going to use them. I also thought about how to make her think I was still naive, still trusting, while secretly setting my trap. I told her to go pack her things, to prepare for her departure, but I made sure she saw the cold glint in my eyes. I wanted her to know I was finished yet. I needed her to feel that I was in control, that her lies had consequences. I had a plan, and it was going to hit her hard, so hard she'd never forget it. As she hurried to pack, I stood there, feeling the adrenaline surge through my veins. My mind was already working on the next move, plotting the steps that would leave her with nothing but the regret of her betrayal. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my dignity, about making sure she understood what happens when you cross the wrong person. And I was just getting started. The day dragged on in a strange, slow kind of way. She kept rushing around, throwing clothes into bags, her face pale and streaked with tears. I stayed quiet, watching her, feeling the weight of my plan solidify in my mind. Every movement she made, every desperate glance fueled my resolve. I had spent hours crafting this, and I was determined to see it through. I kept her busy with little chores, sorting her things, checking the room for other evidence, making her think I was just angry but still somewhat reasonable. Inside, I was anything but. I knew I had to appear calm and control. She'd be looking for cracks in my facade, and I couldn't give her that. Instead, I was already setting the stage for my revenge. When she finally finished packing, she looked at me with pleading eyes. "I'll leave in the morning," she said softly, voice trembling. "Can we just talk, please?" I smiled coldly, the kind of smile that makes people uncomfortable. "No," I said simply. "There's nothing to talk about. You've already said everything with those messages." I paused, then added, but I do want to show you something first. Her eyes flickered with doubt, but she nodded meekly. I reached into my bag and pulled out her phone, then handed it to her. You want to see what I found, just so you know I'm serious about everything I said. She looked at me, confusion and fear mixing in her eyes. What's this? Your little secret, I muttered, voice low and dangerous. I scrolled through the message history I'd saved, screenshots I took when I first found the conversations. The words stared back at her. Plans, promises, flirtations. Words that proved she'd been lying all along. I watched her process it, her face slowly draining of color. You lied, I said. You cheated on me during our anniversary trip and now you're trying to run away with him. Do you think I'd just let you walk out like nothing happened? She opened her mouth but no words came out. I could see her trembling, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. You're not going anywhere, I said, voice firm. Not yet. We're going to have a little talk after I show you something else. I pulled out my phone and pressed record. Say something to the camera. Tell everyone what kind of person you really are. She looked at me, tears falling freely now. Please, she whispered. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Please don't do this. I shook my head, feeling a strange mix of anger and satisfaction. Too little, too late, I said. This is just the beginning. I left her there, trembling and crying as I headed outside to make a few calls. I'd already set up a plan, an elaborate scheme that would cut her off at the knees. I'd contacted a lawyer, a friend of a friend who specialized in dealing with betrayal and betrayal-related legal issues. I wanted her to see that I wasn't just going to cry and beg her to stay. No, I was going to make her regret every choice she made. My plan was simple but effective. I was going to leak the evidence, those messages, those photos, and expose her to her friends, her family, everyone she knew. I wanted her to lose her reputation, her standing, everything she had built up. And I was going to do it all without raising my voice, without throwing accusations or shouting. I wanted her to see the cold, calculated side of me, the side that refused to be a victim. While I made the calls, I kept thinking about how she'd react when she realized what I was doing. Would she try to lie her way out of it? Would she beg? Did she even understand what was coming? I could almost feel her panic from miles away, and honestly, it was delicious. I'd spent years being the good guy, the one who always forgave, the one who believed in second chances. Not anymore. Not after this. When she finally came back inside, I was waiting. She looked exhausted, defeated. Her eyes begged for mercy, but I didn't give her that. Instead, I handed her a small folder. This, I said, is everything, your secret, your lies, your betrayal, and soon everyone will know. Her trembling hands reached for the folder, but I pulled it back. You see, I said, voice steady, you had your chance. Now it's my turn. You're leaving tomorrow, and when you do, I want you to remember this moment. Because I'm going to make sure you regret crossing me. She looked at me with wide eyes, trembling, knowing that I had everything I needed to blow her world apart. And honestly, I relished the power I felt, finally taking control, finally turning the tables. The fallout was just beginning. I could feel the thrill of it already. She thought she could cheat and run away, but I was about to make sure she paid for it. And she'd never walk out that door without knowing exactly how much she'd lost. The next morning was quiet, almost too quiet. She stayed in the room, sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at that folder I handed her like it was some kind of curse. I could see her hands tremble as she flipped through the pages, screenshots of her messages, photos of her with Bobby, carefully saved and ready to be unleashed. Her face was pallid, eyes red-rimmed from crying, but there was a flicker of something else, fear maybe, or realization that her game was over. I didn't say much. Just watched her, feeling that dark satisfaction grow inside me. She knew she'd crossed a line, and now she was paying for it. My stomach was tight, my palms sweaty, and every nerve in my body was alive with anticipation. Finally, she looked up at me, voice trembling. What are you going to do? I smiled coldly, trying to suppress the rush of adrenaline. You're leaving today, I said, but you're not going to do it quietly. Not anymore. Today I'm going to teach you a lesson you'll wish you never messed with me. She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. Please don't do this. I didn't mean for everything to get so out of hand. Oh, you did, I countered. You lied to me for months. You planned to run away with him while I was stupid enough to trust you. You think I'd just forget all that? Her lips quivered and she looked like she was about to break apart. I was scared. I thought I was going to lose everything, my career, my reputation. I thought I'd be alone, so I did stupid stuff. I didn't mean for you to find out like this. I took a step closer, feeling the heat rising in my chest. That's bullshit, Lisa. You did it because you didn't care. You thought you could get away with it. Well, guess what? People are going to know the truth now, and that's just the start. I reached for my phone. I've got one last thing for you. You want to know what I'm about to do? She looked at me, eyes swollen, desperate. Please. No, I interrupted harshly. You're going to listen. I'm about to send all of this evidence, your messages, your photos, everything to everyone. Your friends, your family, your boss. And I'll make sure everyone knows what kind of person you really are. Her face twisted in panic. You can't. Oh, I can. I said, and I will. Because you thought you could cheat on me, lie to me, and then run away like nothing happened. That's not happening, not anymore. I hit send on the message, attaching all files. I watched her flinch as the emails and texts started to go out one after another like a dam breaking loose. Her hands clenched into fists, nails digging into her palms as she realized her secrets were spilling out into the open. You're making a huge mistake, she whispered, voice cracking. No, I said, voice cold and clear. You made the mistake. I just decided to correct it. She stared at the screen, trembling, unable to speak. I could see the weight of her realization sinking in, that she'd lost control, that her lies were about to destroy her. That was exactly what I wanted. I started to walk away, feeling the heavy burden lift off my shoulders. The power I felt, finally standing up for myself after years of being taken for granted, was intoxicating. I knew I'd made up my mind. No matter how much she begged or cried, this was the end. As I reached the door, I turned back briefly. Remember this moment, Lisa, I said coldly, because I'm never going to forget it, and you can bet your ass you'll be paying for this for a long, long time. The door clicked shut behind me and I took a deep breath. I had just handed her a one-way ticket to humiliation. The fallout would be immediate and brutal. I didn't care any more about what I'd lost, only about making sure she knew exactly what she'd thrown away. I was done being the forgiving husband. Now I was rewriting the story, and she was just a chapter I was closing forever. The first step was out of my hands. All I had to do now was wait for the chaos to unfold. The moment she realized I wasn't bluffing, everything would come crashing down around her. And I'd be the one standing tall, finally free from her betrayal. The hours after I sent out the evidence felt like an eternity. I stayed in the car, parked just around the corner from the hotel, watching her come out of the room looking shell-shocked. Her face was a mask of panic, eyes darting around like she was searching for a way out. Her posture was hunched, shoulders tense, her hands trembling as she clutched her bags. Every nerve in my body was alive, adrenaline surging, but I kept my face calm. Inside, I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and cold resolve. I knew the damage was done. The truth was out and she couldn't undo it. I'd made sure of that. Now it was just a matter of waiting for the fallout to hit her like a ton of bricks. She hurried down the hall, glancing over her shoulder, her breathing ragged. As she approached the elevator, I stepped out of the car, raising my voice just enough to catch her attention. Going somewhere. She froze, then slowly turned, her face pale. What are you doing here? I think you know, I said, voice steady but icy. I just wanted to see your reaction. You thought you could cheat, lie, and run away. Well, guess what? The world now knows everything. Her eyes widened. You didn't have to do that. I was going to leave, that's all. Leave. I echoed, voice dripping with contempt. You think you can just walk away? After what you did? No, Lisa, this is only the beginning. You've lost everything, your reputation, your peace of mind, and soon everyone else will find out too. She looked desperate, tears welling up again. Please don't ruin me. I made a mistake, but I love you. Can't we just— No, I interrupted firmly. You betrayed me. You broke the vows we took. And I'm not about to let you manipulate your way out of this. You wanted to run, fine, but I'll make damn sure you run into a wall first. Her knees shook as she tried to steady herself. I'll leave today, I swear, just don't do this. I took a step closer, feeling a surge of anger. You're leaving, all right, but not the way you think. You're going to pack your things and I'll escort you out. And I'll make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you are. just in case you think you can hide behind that mask of innocence." She looked at the ground, defeated. "You really want to do this?" "Oh, I already did," I said, voice cold and hard. "And it's just getting started." With that, I turned and walked back to my car, leaving her standing there, trembling. Inside, I felt an odd sense of calm, like I finally took control again, like I'd cut loose the chains of betrayal. The plan I'd been working on was unfolding just as I envisioned. Her reputation was crumbling, her life was about to be turned upside down, and I was the one pulling the strings. I had already contacted a lawyer earlier that morning. We prepared everything: documents, evidence, contacts. I wanted her to see that I wasn't bluffing, that I was serious about making her pay. I wasn't going to scream or shout. Those things didn't matter anymore. What mattered was the silence that would follow, the shame she'd carry, and the way people would look at her differently from now on. I could hear her footsteps behind me, desperate and hurried. She was trying to catch up, probably begging, probably promising she'd change. But I knew better. This wasn't about promises, it was about consequences. When I finally pulled away from the curb, I watched her disappear into the hotel lobby, her shoulders slumped, defeated. The adrenaline started to fade, replaced by a strange, hollow calm. I knew the world was about to find out what I already knew: she was a liar, a cheat, and now she was finished. I took a deep breath, feeling the cool air fill my lungs. The sinking feeling in my stomach was replaced by something sharper: relief, maybe, or a sense of finally taking back control. Whatever it was, I knew this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of the aftermath, and I was ready for it. The days that followed were a whirlwind of chaos and clarity. I kept my distance, letting the fallout do its work. Her phone kept ringing, her social media flooded with messages, and every time I saw her in the street or heard her name in conversation, I felt that calm satisfaction deep in my chest. I'd handed over the evidence, made sure everyone knew the truth, and now all I could do was watch her unravel from a distance. She tried to reach out several times, but I never responded. Her tears, her apologies, they all fell on deaf ears. I knew the damage was irreversible. The trust we once shared was gone, buried under the flood of her lies. I didn't need to say anything anymore. Her actions had already spoken volumes. One afternoon, I went to the lawyer's office to finalize everything. We signed the divorce papers, and I handed them over to her with a steady, unshakable resolve. She looked at me with pleading eyes, but I simply handed her the keys to the apartment and the divorce decree. "It's over," I said. "No more lies, no more betrayal, just a clean break." She took the papers without a word, her hands trembling. I knew she wouldn't forget this. She'd carry the shame and regret for a long time. But I also knew I had finally reclaimed my life, my dignity. I wasn't going to sit around and wait for her to realize what she'd lost. I'd already made sure she'd lost it. Walking out of that office, I felt lighter than I had in years. The ache of betrayal still lingered, but it was dulled by the knowledge that I had taken control, that I'd turned her own game against her. I'd shown her that betrayers don't get to walk away scot-free, not without consequences. Now I'm rebuilding, trusting myself again, learning to let go of the anger and bitterness. It wasn't easy, not overnight, but time has a way of healing what once seemed unbreakable. I see now that some people are just not worth the pain, and that sometimes the best revenge is simply walking away and living your life on your own terms. To anyone going through something similar, don't let anyone make you feel small because they cheated or lied. Take the high ground, expose the truth if you must, and then walk away. Don't waste your energy on revenge that consumes you. Use it to rebuild, to grow, and to prove that you are better than the betrayal. Because in the end, the only person who truly wins is the one who refuses to be broken. And as for me, I've learned that strength isn't about revenge or anger. It's about knowing your worth, even when someone else tries to take it away. I may have lost a lot, but I gained something much more valuable: the knowledge that I can survive and I will thrive.